When the news broke that Amazon Studios and Games Workshop announced plans to launch a Warhammer 40K cinematic universe, the response was an understandable mix of apprehension, hope, and skepticism. A crucial element of this news was that Henry Cavill, a known fan of the franchise and a respected actor, would not only star in the adaptation, but would also serve as an executive producer. While the prospect of another colossal IP like Warhammer 40K being adapted into a live-action format is tantalizing, with Amazon Studios at the helm, many fans understandably expressed concerns that they might fumble the execution, potentially misrepresenting or diluting the spirit of the Warhammer 40K universe. In this video, I'd like to discuss the very real concern both within and outside of the 40K fandom of whether Amazon will ruin the Warhammer 40K cinematic expansion. The skepticism towards Amazon Studios is far from baseless. For instance, the studio's recent venture, The Rings of Power, which they claim is based on J.R.R. Tolkien's celebrated Lord of the Rings universe, was met with a great deal of criticism. While it found a small amount of viewers who didn't seem to mind the lack of fidelity to Tolkien's original work, the general consensus was that it came across as reckless, amateurish, and arrogant, failing as both an adaptation and a compelling fantasy series. The biggest outrage from fans stemmed from the showrunner's demonstration of a lack of respect for the source material, making changes without a clear reason and without a sense of loyalty to the original work. Lore concerns aside, at the end of the day, the show's poor writing and storytelling resulted in nonsensical, contrived plot lines, lacking compelling characters and narrative tension. Additionally, Amazon's adaptation of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time got off to a similarly controversial start. I personally gave up on the show after watching the first episode, where it was clear that the creatives in charge were not interested in maintaining any reasonable fidelity to Robert Jordan's work. Despite this, I still watched reviews from several other Wheel of Time fans who held out hope that the series would eventually find its footing by the end of Season 1. However, when all was said and done, the first season unsurprisingly did not manage to achieve such improvement, leaving even the most optimistic fans disappointed with the outcome. Given the disappointment stemming from the adaptations of these cherished literary works, Amazon's reputation with fantasy IPs has been engulfed by a completely deserved shadow of pessimism and doubt. Nonetheless, despite the disappointment felt in the wake of Amazon's failed fantasy adaptations, even the most vocal critics would concede that the studio's portfolio is not devoid of success and has at times demonstrated its capacity to produce compelling content, especially in the sphere of genre television. Positive fan response to series such as Invincible, Reacher, and The Boys, and a handful of others have managed to capture the audience's imagination and earn their approval. This fact supports the idea that when Amazon aligns itself with the right creative minds, it's capable of producing high-quality, engaging content. When it comes to comparing Amazon with other streaming giants, the situation is complex. Not all streaming platforms are created equal. Much like many of its other competitors, Amazon's content quality fluctuates, making it a mixed bag of highs and lows. To me, this indicates that Amazon's projects are less a reflection of the studio's meddlesome tendencies and are more about the strength and competence of the creative teams they employ for individual projects. While the studio acts as the facilitator, providing the resources and a platform, the creative team is the heart and soul that brings the vision to life. The potency of this symbiosis, or lack thereof, seems to be the deciding factor in whether a project soars or sinks. Consider, for example, The Rings of Power. After listening to the showrunners and producers' disingenuous and even at times dishonest commentary on the series, it's clear to me that they needed no help from the studio in order to produce a series that was as bad as Rings of Power Season 1 turned out to be. Furthermore, there were no notable reports suggesting significant studio interference in the development of either The Rings of Power or The Wheel of Time. Therefore, I am inclined to believe that the key to ensuring the success of the Warhammer 40K adaptation will hinge less on Amazon Studios' involvement throughout the production and more on their ability to select the most fitting creative team. a team capable of respecting, understanding, and effectively translating a faithful reflection of the rich Warhammer mythos onto the screen. In my opinion, Amazon's part in shaping the success of their Warhammer project can be likened to the function of the front office of a sports team. The front office shoulders the responsibility of identifying, recruiting, and assembling the right mix of athletes and coaches to form a cohesive team capable of delivering a winning strategy. Their goal isn't just about putting together a group of individuals, but crafting a synergistic unit that can successfully execute a shared vision. Applying this analogy to Amazon's Warhammer 40K adaptation, the studio must ensure they select the right combination of creative talent, a task which they've both succeeded and failed at in the past. The casting of actors, selection of directors, screenwriters, and producers are all essential front office moves. While not all members of any production team need to be perfectly attuned and familiar with the Warhammer 40K mythos, Amazon needs to ensure that key figures are placed to foster a spirit of unity and dedication to faithfully representing it. The ultimate success of the adaptation lies in this careful curation of talent and their ability to collaborate effectively. Their first official hire, Henry Cavill, with his knowledge of and passion for the Warhammer universe, seems to be a perfect choice to be the face of this venture. As I've detailed in another video, Henry Cavill's deep-seated passion for the Warhammer universe lends a significant edge to his role in the forthcoming Warhammer 40K adaptation. His departure from Netflix's The Witcher, reportedly due to creative differences over the preservation of original lore, underscores his commitment to accurate adaptations. This is just the start, however. While Amazon certainly has more than enough resources to make a live-action Warhammer series work, their choices in writers and directors for the project will be crucial in determining whether or not this show will live up to the Warhammer name. Finally, the influence of Games Workshop in this endeavor is absolutely pivotal. The success or failure of the Warhammer 40K adaptation might greatly hinge on the degree of scrutiny the company exercises over Amazon. Unlike the overly lenient approach of the Tolkien estate with the Rings of Power, which allowed for a series of nonsensical changes leading to widespread fan discontent, Games Workshop should uphold strict guidelines to safeguard the core of the franchise. This doesn't mean stifling creativity, but rather ensuring it is channeled properly. By closely collaborating with a talented and knowledgeable team at Amazon, Games Workshop has the potential to ensure a loyal and respectful adaptation of the Warhammer universe. But I'm curious to know what you think of Amazon's involvement in producing a new Warhammer cinematic expansion. Are you more concerned with their involvement than you would be with any other streaming platform? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment of their role in determining its potential success or failure? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Warhammer 40K and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.